Are you worried about making sure that you're getting the most out of Social Security? If you are, you're not alone. We have clients come in all the time telling us they want to collect at age 62 because they don't want to see any additional dollars stay within the federal government system. And believe me, we get it. But what we also want to make sure of is that you're not jeopardizing the future of either you or your spouse if you're planning to collect Social Security early. So instead of worrying about that, let's see if we can find a way around it. And this is where we feel a Social Security bridge strategy can come into play. So in today's video, we'll cover what the Social Security bridge strategy is. We'll go through an example and show you what life would look like in both a good market environment and a bad market environment. And be sure to stick around to the end because we'll talk about exactly who can benefit from this and who could consider collecting early. If we haven't met yet, my name's Cieniewicz. I'm a CFP professional at Hyperion Financial, and this is your best retirement. The information covered today is meant to be general and educational in nature only, and it is not meant to be taken as financial planning or investment advice. So what exactly is the Social Security bridge strategy? If you can afford to delay your Social Security benefit, there are definite benefits to doing so, including an 8% bonus each and every year that you defer. Social Security income is one of the only guaranteed income streams that you can find in retirement for many retirees, so you want to make sure if you can maximize this benefit, you look to do so. Bridge strategy can come into play for people who also have savings and can utilize those savings to help supplement income, especially in the early years. The reason why it may be worth delaying is because of the benefits that you can get, including the break-even ages. Let's just go through a brief example with our friend Donald Donaldson. So Donald's breakdown is as follows. Age 62, he's eligible for an annual payment of $28,356. At his full retirement age at age 67, $40,512. And at 70, he's eligible for $50,255 per year. In this example, if you would die at age 77, then yes, you would make out better if you decided to collect at age 62. As you can see, though, at age 85, the numbers tilt. Full retirement age is in the middle, and then if you delay until 70, your cumulative benefits are going to be higher. And then at age 95, the gap continues to widen. Now, I can already hear people saying, I'm not going to live to 95, and I'm certainly not going to be golfing at age 95. I'm going to be golfing at 63, 64, 65. I want to collect Social Security. And again, we're with you. I want you to do that too, which is why I think the Social Security bridge strategy can really help put you in position where you can make sure you can do those things, but also be able to guarantee yourself income at a higher rate and protect your spouse, especially if you're the primary breadwinner. So the way that this bridge strategy will work in practice is instead of you taking the Social Security benefit at age 62, you take that benefit and what it would have been from your portfolio. So we're going to take Donald's numbers that I just showed you a minute ago, and we're going to show what that would do to a portfolio in both a good market environment and a bad market environment. We're going to say that Donald has $1 million in his account, and he's looking for $70,000 of income to cover expenses that he would have. So between that $70,000, he can either take it all from his portfolio or he can collect early on his Social Security benefit. And in the second case that we're going to show, he can delay his Social Security benefit to age 67, take all of the money from the portfolio, and then take some of the stress off once Social Security kicks in. Let's first go through an example of bad market timing. If you're watching this, you're probably not too young to remember the global financial crisis of 2007 to 2009. 2008 was one of the worst years on record from both an unemployment and a market return standpoint. What we're going to do is we're going to take a 60-40 split, and we're going to look at if he retired in the year 2008 moving forward, what that would do to his portfolio and compare the two different scenarios. So in scenario one, as you can see, 2008 is that first year that it takes a hit. He takes out $41,644. So the end of year balance on his portfolio takes quite a hit. Over $250,000 is gone. He's taking about a 4% withdrawal in year one, but if he continues to take this $41,000 and change, that number is higher than a 4% withdrawal in future years. And if you haven't yet checked out our guardrails video, I'm going to link to that right now to make sure that you can understand how much you can and should be taking in retirement in conjunction with Social Security. Now, the second chart is actually going to show you what it would look like if he implemented the bridge strategy. And we're going to use the same returns, but in this case, and again, the first 5 years, he's going to be taking out a higher percentage of his portfolio income because he's not yet collecting Social Security. So he's going to be taking out $70,000 a year. And in year one, he's down almost $300,000 from his original balance between both the market loss and then the $70,000 distribution. He's just under $720,000. Now, in the years following from 2009 moving forward, he does begin to recoup some of those losses. The big change takes place again in 2013 When he no longer needs 70,000, he's then able to scale back to just under 30,000. So that being the case, you're going to see that his portfolio is again going to start to creep back up. Now, if we compare the two together, you're going to see that his portfolio is going to do better in the event that he collects an early Social Security benefit for at least the next 10 years. But what we also want to keep in mind is that this doesn't tell the full story. We want to make sure that we're just looking at a 10-year time period. In retirement, you could live 30 years. So the longer that you delay, the less stress over time that you're going to be putting on the portfolio. The other thing to keep in mind, if we remember from just a little bit ago, is that the cumulative benefit between age 85 to 95 does continue to widen for Donald. So if he continues to live longer in retirement, it definitely could make more sense for him to implement this bridge strategy. But let's take a look if he didn't retire in 2008. Maybe we can find a rosier year in which he can retire. Let's instead say that Donald is able to retire in 2013. If he retires in 2013, there's a pretty good run up in the market that he's going to notice inside of his 60-40 portfolio. So in the event that he does decide to collect Social Security early, again, we're using the same withdrawal rate. So it's about a 4% withdrawal rate. But he's really at no problem at all. His account continues to grow with the positive returns in the market. It's not until 2019 when there's a modest decrease inside his actual portfolio that he notices a downturn. And even then, he's able to recoup the losses after a couple of years. If we were to look at it and if he decides to delay, we can actually see that it's a similar type of scenario. But one thing that you may notice is that the differences between these two balances in the scenario where he decides to defer Social Security and the scenario he decides to take early is really not that significant. It's less than $175,000, which separates the two portfolio accounts. And again, if we keep that in mind, after 10 years in this good market scenario, he also is getting a higher Social Security payout over a longer period of time. That's going to continue to add up for Donald, again, especially as he gets older and once he reaches that break-even point. So assuming he lives a long, healthy life in retirement, the Social Security bridge strategy in this case can actually make a lot of sense. So that then brings us to the question, who should actually be considering the Social Security bridge strategy? This strategy typically works best if you fit at least 3 criteria. The first one would be that you need to have sufficient savings to cover the bridge strategy itself. If you have funds which you can take out on a voluntary basis to pay some of the living expenses, you should at least be considering a Social Security bridge strategy to see if it could make sense in your situation. The second group of people should be ones that are healthy and that are expecting to live long lives in retirement. The reason why this makes sense is because, again, the longer you live, the longer Social Security would pay out. And that brings us to the third type of person who it could make sense for the Social Security bridge strategy. Those who have spouses who they want to then leave their Social Security benefit to. If you pass away and you are the higher income earner on your Social Security benefit, your surviving spouse can step up to the higher benefit of the two. That's why it's really important to make sure that you're maximizing your Social Security strategy. And that's where a bridge strategy can really come into play, that you're able to enjoy your age 62 and your early years in retirement, but also then make sure that you're leaving your spouse in position where he or she can continue on with a higher benefit in the event of your early passing. Now, there are pitfalls potentially to the Social Security bridge strategy. It's not 100% foolproof. And the first example we saw is in a period of severe market volatility. As you saw in that example, a 20% correction with a 7% withdrawal rate is a lot different than it would be with a 4% withdrawal rate. It will take years to make up that downward market trend. So make sure that if you are planning a Social Security bridge strategy, that you do have a potential plan in place for market volatility. If you don't have enough money in savings, it may not make sense to do a Social Security bridge strategy either. Lastly, what you want to then consider is the taxable implications of taking from something like a pre-tax account. If you haven't yet subscribed, now would be a great time to do so because we talk about taxes plenty on this channel. And that'll give you a feel for your strategy to making sure if you're taking out income properly in retirement, while also make sure that you're making the right decisions on things such as Social Security election and that you're invested properly. If you're able to do all these things, I do believe you can live your best retirement. And that's our focus on this channel. I hope this video was insightful. Please be sure to check out HyperionFP.com if you have additional questions on how you can make your best retirement a reality. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.